pop-up with great skill from him to wing the Mo Salah! Raheem Sterling! What a finish! What pure class from the Englishman!
Premier Talk, the English Premier League podcast for the fans.
Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Premier Talk. This is episode 7. We're going to call this one the UCL clean sweep, and for good reason. I'm one of your two hosts, Andrew Mello, and alongside with me as always is Daniel Barbudo. How's it going, bro?
Andrew, I'm doing great. How are you?
It's midterm season, just a bunch of tests. We're scoring now, super busy with assignments, so we're trying to squeeze in this episode, and we got a really good one today.
Of course, as always.
All right, so we're going to go into the starting lineup here. To start off, we got match day 28 recap.
We're going to do our Champions League recap.
And then we just love these fan questions. So we got the fan Q&A up on the IG, and we got a bunch of people asking questions, some really good ones too. So we're going to dive into that towards the latter stages of this episode.
I'm going to kick us off right now with our match day 28 recap. We got Friday, March 12th, Newcastle versus Aston Villa. This one ended in a 1-1 draw. We got Kieran Clark. He scored an own goal in the 86th. Looked like it was all over for Newcastle. And then Jamal Lascelles, he equalized in the 94th minute, and it ended in a draw.
Yeah, overall, decent result. Aston Villa, they just need they haven't been getting good results of late. Decent result for Newcastle, but more of a difficult one there for Aston Villa.
Yeah, that was the only game on Friday, March 12th. We're going to move on to Saturday, March 13th. There was 4 games on Saturday. First one was Leeds Chelsea. If you look at this one, there was no goals. That ended 0-0. It's another clean sheet for Chelsea. That's what you can pull out of that. And for Leeds, you're getting a point against a team that's been phenomenal as of late. So both teams can pull something pretty good out of this one.
Yeah, for Chelsea, it's a draw. It's not what they would have hoped for in this match against Leeds. Leeds is obviously an underrated side and a difficult one. And for Chelsea, this just means that they continue their unbeaten run with Thomas Tuchel. They have yet to lose a game. Knock on wood. Hopefully that continues. It'd be great to see them go the rest of the season without losing any points.
That'd be ridiculous if a manager can come in and impact your team that much. It's pretty crazy, which is what it's looking like to be right now. We're going to move on to the next game, Crystal Palace, West Brom. This one ended 1-0, Crystal Palace. And Luka Milivojevic, I would never have gotten that at all. He scored from the penalty spot in the 37th minute, and that was the only goal in this one. A nice little penalty kick, and that's it.
Yeah, he's a good set piece specialist for them. He usually takes their free kicks, and he also takes a lot of their penalty shots. So huge win for Palace. Difficult loss for West Brom. Only losing 1-0. You're in it the whole time, and they've been doing good of late. They've been scrapping out some wins, and they've been the unlikely winners in their last couple of games. But just overall, a very, very tough loss for West Brom fans.
The third game on Saturday was Everton versus Burnley.
This was a shocker. This was a
little bit of a shocker. Yeah, I would say. You got Chris Wood. He comes out in the 13th minute. He puts Burnley up 1-0. And then 9 minutes later, Dwight McNeil, he scores to put Burnley up by 2. And at this point, if you're an Everton fan,
that was a banger too.
It was.
That was an absolute crazy world-class goal. That was nuts. Absolutely nuts.
And then Everton fans, you got DCL. He scores in the 32nd minute, and you get all excited. But Everton never did find an equalizer in the rest of this one, and it ended 2-1 for Burnley.
Yeah, massive result for Burnley. Tough result for Everton fans. You would have thought that they would be able to get back into this one. I thought they would have, but overall, a great team effort from Burnley to really secure a difficult 3 points here.
Yeah, I don't think, as we said at the beginning, I don't think this is anything that Burnley came in expecting to pull 3 points out of this one. I think they would have been happy with the draw, but the extra 2 points, good for them. The last game on Saturday, March 13th, was Fulham versus Man City. I think this was an expected one for City. They won 3-0. John Stones scored in the 47th. Gabriel Jesus scored in the 56th. And then Aguero scored 4 minutes after from the penalty spot. 3-0. Exactly what you want from City. 0 goals for, 0 goals against, 3 goals for. Keeping a clean sheet. And what else can you ask for from Pep's side?
Can't ask for much more. It's just a great result. 3-0 against Fulham is a great result. And it's very nice to see Aguero back into the squad, scoring. It was a penalty spot kick, but nonetheless, it's still a goal for Aguero, and I'm glad to see him get back on the score sheet.
One thing I want to ask you about quickly, he's been heavily linked with Barca right now. I know I'm repping my Barca kid. I got Ansu Fati on the back of him because goated youngster. You know how I love my youngsters. Um, how do you feel about that? Do you think Barca? I know Barca need a number nine, but would he fit being his age and they just got rid of Luis Suarez? I know I don't want to dive too much into Barcelona situation, but would Aguero be a fit there?
To answer your question, Daniel, I think it's stupidity if they were to let Luis Suarez go like they did and then sign Aguero because they're practically the same age. They bring to the table that same type of style up front, and I don't know. I think it'd be a decent fit for Aguero to go. He'd be if Messi stays, if Messi's linked to leave, like we've heard so much in the news. What's the point of going? I think that'd be the only drawing point for Aguero to go play with his close friend Messi. But I don't know. It really made me angry that they dealt with Suarez in that way and they let him go. They still could have used him. He's still a world class striker. He's tapered off a bit late as he's gotten older, right? He doesn't have that pace and velocity he used to have, but he's still a dangerous finisher in front of goal, and you could use that on the Barcelona side. And they let him go. It's pathetic. The board's been pathetic there. That team's a disaster right now. And if I'm Aguero, I wouldn't want anything to do with Barcelona, even if Messi is there.
I think you said it perfectly. I think that whole situation in Barcelona is a disaster right now. As much as I adore Messi and the youngsters coming out of the team, they'll be good in the next couple of years. But the way that they're dealing with players right now is sad to see. I don't
Yeah.
think Guerrero. I don't think Aguero like 30. He's 36, I believe. Just starting to play again now for City. Hasn't played very much over the last year because of his injury problems and just coming off the bench and stuff like that. I don't know if it's a good fit, to be honest with you.
Daniel, that team needs a reset. Aguero's not 36, by the way. He's 32. Just to fact check
32.
that.
Okay, my bad.
You-
I said
You're
36. A little bit older than I thought. A little bit
you're,
younger than I thought.
you're good. And then Luis Suarez, I think he's around the same age. So
I think Suarez is 34,
is he? Oh, he's
33,
34. He's 34.
34.
So he's
Yeah.
2 years older. But
Hmm.
that team needs a reset. They need a rebuild. I think it's time for Messi to go. They have to let go of Messi. He needs a new start somewhere else, somewhere fresh, and it'd be cool to see him play somewhere else other than that Barcelona system. And it's just an end of an era. It's sad to say, but this is what happens in life. This is what happens with football, especially with football dynasties. They have to come to an end. But you got some exciting talents there, man. Like Pedri down the middle of the park. He's going to be a great player for them.
Hmm.
Trincao just came in. He's going to be a very, very talented winger for them. Um, yeah, there's just loads of young talent there, and
Fati, don't forget
Fatty's
him.
obviously Fatty, yeah, another one. So there's some pieces there, and there's some Ricky Puig, another one. Like
Hmm. Oh,
there's
their
there's
team soon is going to be amazing.
that's
Let's
what I'm
be
saying.
honest.
They're gonna be. I think they're gonna be really crappy for a couple of years, especially if Messi leaves, and then they'll start coming into form and buying some other pieces. Obviously, you have De Jong there in the middle of the park. He's still very very young, so there's hope for Barcelona fans in the future. I just think they're gonna be in a lull for a couple of years.
Hmm. We're gonna move on to to Sunday, March 14th. I cannot say March today. I don't know what's wrong with me. We got 5 games on Sunday. The first one was Southampton versus Brighton. This one ended Brighton 2, Southampton 1. Brighton came out with 3 points in this one, which I think was a little bit unexpected. You got Lewis Dunk. He scored in the 16th minute for Brighton, and then Shea Adams equalized 11 minutes later in the 27th minute. And then Trossard, he scored the winner in the 56th minute, and Brighton come up with 3 points against a tough opponent like Southampton.
Daniel, it's I don't know. I don't know if it was expected for Southampton to win this game because they've been absolutely terrible. Like their last 5 games, they have 4 losses.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing poorly, and it's been ever since that Manchester United thrashing. They've been tapering off like this and heading downward, not in an upward fashion. So I don't think it's that surprising for me. I think Brighton, they're hit or miss too, but they've been getting their wins here and there, and it sucks if you're a Southampton fan right now. Like it's just a terrible situation. They just keep losing. So um, great on Brighton to separate themselves from the gap in terms of points because they're only 3 points off the
Mm-hmm.
drop, but they get a crucial win here.
Mm-hmm. I think Southampton's been really weird this year. They were in first for a couple match
They
days, I
started
believe.
phenomenally this season,
Yeah.
and then but this is what happens in a Premier League season, Daniel. The table shifts so much. That's what
Mm-hmm.
makes the league so exciting. And these teams, like we even saw Everton in first place at one point. Like
Mm-hmm.
West Ham's up there this year. Like It's insane the way the tables moved around. I've never ever seen the table move around this much. We see Tottenham sitting outside the top six. We see Arsenal outside the top six. Chelsea was outside the top six. Now they're back in. Like this is by far one of the most exciting tables I've ever seen. You know, obviously the 1 and 2 spot are there's no competition there. I think Manchester City, it's obvious and clear to say that they've won the league this year. That's what I'm going
Hmm.
to come out and say it already. But beyond that, the table has shifted so much. It's
Hmm.
shifted from the top 10 and then to the bottom 10. There's been moving around, constant shifting. So a super exciting season in terms of the teams fighting for their positions.
Hmm. We're gonna move on to the next game here on Sunday. We got Leicester City versus Sheffield. An absolute goal fest this was for Leicester. If you're Sheffield, you're shying away from this talk right now. Um, Nacho. I know we discussed him last week with our
No,
guest Peter Fusco,
he's been
and
balling right now. Like
he has been, because even Peter was like, yeah, like I love to see Nacho, ex City fan on the goal sheet. He comes into this one, he gets a hat trick. Lovely to see from Nacho. He played fantastic in this one. And then Ayoze Perez, he's got on the square sheet as well in the 64th. And then Ethan Ampadu, he
Ampadu.
scored an own goal in the 80th minute. And that the game was done by then anyway, so it didn't really matter. 5-0 Leicester, and that was the end of that one.
Yeah, huge victory for Leicester fans. I'm so happy to see Hinacho, back on the goal tally. He's been phenomenal of late, very consistent. He's been an
Mm-hmm.
absolute goal poacher up front for Leicester, and he's been taking some of the weight off of Jamie Vardy's shoulders, and rightfully so because Jamie does a lot for this team. And there's gonna be games when he's not gonna score and he's gonna be a little bit less involved, and that's where a guy like Hinacho, target man, big body up front, can really. He's got a great technical ability too. I don't think people give him credit for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at hold up play. So uh, definitely a good piece there for Brendan Rodgers to have in his team.
Mm-hmm. We move on to North London Derby here. We got Arsenal versus Tottenham. This one ended in Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1, a nice little 3 points for Arsenal. Um,
Is that
game
goal?
started.
Is that wait? Just before we start, is that goal Puskas worthy? Lamella, because Lamella scoring this one. I just want. Is that Puskas worthy?
Is that okay? For me, I'm gonna say no. It was an absolute world class goal though.
One of the goals of the season for sure.
Goals
No,
of this, it's gonna be up there for a contender for goal of the season. It was amazing.
it
We'll get
was.
to it though. So we're gonna start it off. This one started weird. Son coming off injured in the 19th minute. Everybody's like, oh no, Son's not one of those players, especially on this Tottenham team where Son and Kane feed off each other so well. None of them want to get. You don't want any of them getting injured. Son gets injured, and on comes Lamella. You're expecting way less talent, obviously, than Son. But then he comes in the 33rd minute and he scores an absolute world class Rabona just inside the box. I believe it went through Saka's legs just to the right of David Luiz, tucked right into the bottom right corner. It was a fantastic finish. It was like so creative. The fact that he turned his body the way he did. It was. I don't think Puskas worthy, but I think goal of the season.
Yeah, that was like he's done it before too. I remember in the
Mm-hmm.
Europa League, I think he did
He
it.
did
He
do it.
scored an
Yep.
absolute fantastic Rabona. So he's known for doing these things. He's very crafty in those tight situations. He's definitely one of those players you'd like to have come off the bench. I wouldn't prefer to have him on my starting like 11, but he's a tremendous player to come off the bench and give you that spark. And he did his job here, getting on the goal sheet for the Spurs.
Mm-hmm. Continuing in this one, we got Martin Odegaard. He scored to tie it for in the 44th minute for Arsenal, and now we got a tie game heading into the second half. Arsenal's awarded a penalty. Lacazette steps up and slots it home in the 64th minute, and that was the end of goals in this one. That one ended like that, 2-1. But Lamella did get a second yellow in the 76th minute to put Tottenham down to 10 men, leaving very little chance for them to come back against this Arsenal team.
Yeah, Arsenal secured the victory in this one, but they're still 4 points behind Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
Tottenham's currently sitting in eighth place, and then Aston Villa's in ninth, and then obviously Arsenal's in 10th. It's a huge win to catch up, but I don't know if Arsenal's going to be able to surpass them in the coming games. I think Tottenham they need to wake up, and I think they will. Hopefully sooner rather than later for Mourinho's sake and for the fans' sake. They got some big games ahead of them coming later in the next month, so
Mm-hmm.
they really need to wake up. It's a disastrous loss, especially against a rival. Both teams really needed this win. At the end of the day, they're both in shambles this year,
Mm-hmm.
both way below par. So massive for Arsenal fans, and just hopefully they can continue in this form, right?
Yeah, there's a lot wrong with both these teams right now. I know they're expected to go out and finish top five, top six, because they're both considered world-class teams, but they haven't been performing at all this year. I don't.
Like Daniel, to be honest with you, like when I saw the Lamelo goal, I thought I thought Tottenham had it in the bag, right?
Mhm.
I didn't think Arsenal had it in them to really overturn that goal and go out and win the game, and they did. Credit to them. So
Mhm. Yeah, you got to give credit where credit's due. We're gonna move on to the last game on Sunday, March 14th. We got Manchester United versus West Ham. This one, simple 1-0 game for Manchester United. Big 3 points against a West Ham team that's been playing phenomenal this year. The only goal came from Craig Dawson own goal in the 53rd minute. I just want to shout one person out right here. I know we banter him a lot. Harry Maguire actually played fantastic. He was ridiculous in the back. Obviously, okay, West Ham, they have Antonio, who's probably their main threat going forward.
yeah.
He marked them really well. I think he played fantastic. I just wanted to shout him out for all the banter we give him. Give him one time. Again, give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah, this was a tough game for both sides. They're both very competitive this year. West Ham's been they've been amazing to say the least. You know, they've
Mhm.
really performed over exceeding expectations, and it's a tough loss for West Ham. They really want to stay in the race for that top six, top five. So yeah, massive result for Man United. It was weird that it came by an own goal, but nonetheless, a win is a win. 3 points is 3 points, and it was a massive 3 points for either side. Whoever won the stay in on the stay was Manchester United.
We move on to Monday, March 15th. Just one goal in this one game on this one. Wolves Liverpool. Liverpool took this one 1-0, which was big for Liverpool because they desperately needed the 3 points. And ex Wolves man, Diego Jota, he comes in and he scores the only goal in this one in the 45th minute, which was a nice goal and the only goal. And then the other talking point is Rui Patricio, his injury, which was
Horrific
brutal.
injury. Yeah,
Yeah, it
horrific
was brutal.
injury. I watched that live, and to see it, it was very scary. And it's the second injury of that nature that Wolves have experienced this year. Obviously, the first one being Jimenez, and you don't like to see any head injuries like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it was so awkward and unlucky the way it happened. They were attacking the box, Liverpool. Connor Cody's, trying to stop himself and slow himself. And then Patricio dives for the ball, but as he dives for the ball, Connor Cody tries to step over him and he hits him with the knee. And that's a very, hard part of your body. And for that to go at a good pace at your head, it's gonna do some damage. And it knocked him out cold. And it was super sad to see. I read a report though. The coach came out and said he was aware of what happened, and he could remember what happened, and he was aware at the hospital. So that's definitely good news, and we hopefully we'll see him back soon on the pitch, Rui P, because I really love him as a Portugal fan. He did a lot for that Euro 2016 team. I believe, in my opinion, it was a toss up. Pep was amazing in that final, but so was Rui Patricio. So um, just a great talent, and want to see him back on the pitch.
Yeah, we hope for a speedy recovery because, like you said, nobody wants to see those type of injuries. It's second head injury. Wolves have suffered an awful, terrible head injuries this year. Um, I want to move on to a lighter note. We got a nice little Champions League recap. We're gonna.
This was the clean sweep here.
It was a clean sweep.
This is why we called it a clean sweep. Daniel, I just want to get this point in. All UCL teams from England made it to the next round. Clean sweep, meaning no goals allowed. So that's a pretty impressive stat line from
Mhm,
all the Premier League clubs to advance and not concede any goals.
mhm. So I know Liverpool Leipzig was last week. We quickly discussed it with Peter on. Just reiterating it again. It was a 4-0 aggregate. Liverpool won 2-0 and 2-0. This is complete domination from Liverpool. I really don't think Leipzig ever had a chance. And I think they were expected by everyone who even though Liverpool is having not a great season in England, I think they were expected to go through to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, for Liverpool, um, this will help save their season. If they This is a miracle if they win the UCL, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
this year, because I think the defense is just going to be that we always talk about. That's the just been the narrative this year for Liverpool. But if they were to secure a UCL this year, for the second time in 3 years, that'd be incredible for the team, and I think it honestly save what has been a very miserable season.
Mm-hmm. The second set of games that we're going to look at is Manchester City versus Gladbach. Again, my name pronunciation is brutal. This was a 4-0 aggregate win, exactly like Liverpool Leipzig. It was 2-0, 2-0. Um, this is basically a mirror image of the Liverpool game. It was complete domination from City. I don't think Munchen Gladbach ever had a chance. And exactly like Liverpool, they were expected to go through to the quarterfinals because they've been absolutely fantastic in England.
Yeah, Manchester City did their job against Gladbach. There's really no chance for them, and that came down to a very organized team on the pitch, and they really controlled possession, and they looked, superior in all moments, and that's why they really breezed through this round. And whoever's, the draw is happening tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want to be drawn against Manchester City. I could tell you
Yeah.
that. That's the last team you want to be paired against. So.
Mm-hmm. The third set of games we're going to look at is Chelsea Atletico. This is the last one.
Come on, you Blues!
This was, I think, the only set of games where the other team that's not from the Premier League actually had a chance because Atletico is in first place in their domestic league in Spain. They were fantastic. I know, obviously, within the last month they've lost form. Andrew, I know you want to talk about this one. Go nuts.
Yeah, Daniel. Massive result for the Blues.
Mm-hmm.
Just to say that to start, but we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, and I said I don't know who's going to go through. It was literally a toss up,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because Atletico in the league has been really dominant. They've been really dominant, and that's because obviously Barcelona's been poor, Real Madrid's been inconsistent, but give credit where it's due, like you said, Reddy. And Atletico's been playing really well domestically. But in these last two legs against Chelsea, I don't know if it was the organization from Chelsea, um, but they were not able to break down that system, and they were dull going forward, to say the least. Like they weren't exciting going forward, and they never looked really dangerous in the way that Chelsea did. And
Mm-hmm.
on this day, Ziyech, he was able to Hakeem the Dream. He was able to squeeze one past Diano Black. It was it was like a chicken goal, man. It was bad. Like he could have saved it. Like Jan
Mm-hmm.
could have saved it. And then the icing on the cake was in the dying stages of the game. Chelsea counterattacked because Atletico was trying to throw men forward, and Emerson, the fullback, he was able to score a nice low driven goal past Yano Black. Lovely finish from a fullback. And it was just the icing on the cake. And it was amazing to see. They cut right to the shot of the reserves, like the stands, and it was
Mm-hmm.
Thiago Silva going absolutely nuts, along with Mason Mount and
Mason Mount, I
Jorginho. They're
saw
all
that.
out
Yep.
due to injury, but it was incredible to see, and it just shows you how much it means to the guys on this team, and how important wins like this are for the morale of the squad. So amazing scenes there, and I just want to also. I didn't like it. It was a moment in the match when Savic, the center half from Montenegro and Atletico, he received his second yellow, and it was for a scuffle in the box. He threw like it wasn't even an L. He put his arm back like that, like he
Mm-hmm.
just put his arm back, and hit Rudiger in the center of his chest, and it wasn't like he went full force. It was just like he gave him like a decent tap, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then Rudiger goes down like he's flailing his body down, you know. It ended up getting the red card so it was good for Chelsea and it helped in that regard, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't like it too much. And then after he was kind of instigating the play, um, after with just chirping with the Atletico players. But I'll give credit to Rudiger in terms of his play for this game. He really was a key player for Chelsea in that three back, and he was able to really shut down the attacking plays for Atletico, whether it was João Felix or Luis Suarez. So he did a tremendous job.
Yep, exactly. Like all three Premier League teams did a great job. Like we said, this is why it's called the UCL Queen Sweep. No goals against, won all three. They're all three of them are into the quarterfinals, and hopefully they continue in the UEFA Champions League. Oh Jesus, UEFA Champions League. I said Europa Champions League. That's like I'm lost.
All
Okay.
good, Daniel. All good.
Anyways, we're gonna move on to one of our favorite segments. We've been doing this a couple times in the last
It's the
couple
best
weeks.
segment, Daniel. It's the best segment. No doubt
We
about it. Best segment.
it's the best segment because we love getting you guys involved. For those of you that don't already know, we do fan Q&A. We ask, we put out a poll on our Instagram page at Premier League at Premier Talk Podcast, and we ask you guys give us some questions we'll talk about, and we got a bunch of responses. So sorry if we didn't include everyone. There's a bunch of great questions. We're gonna get to a good chunk of them. And Andrew, why don't you kick us off with the first one?
Yeah, before I read out the question, I just want to say a big shout out to our Slovakian followers. We've been getting downloads on Buzzsprout to, people in Portugal, some in Brazil, and even the Slovaks. So, shout out everyone that's been following us
Mm-hmm.
and supporting us. Really appreciate it.
So it's even Nigeria, you got Saudi Arabia, we
We're,
appreciate you guys all over the world.
we're up, Daniel. Daniel, we're up. Downloads are up.
Thank you guys for listening, and we appreciate it.
So the
Go
first
ahead,
question is from Austin Diekman. Diechman?
Deechman.
Diechman. It's a buddy of Daniel's, and he's asking who's claiming the Golden Boot this season for most goals. Who's going to claim the Golden Boot? Daniel, I'll let you go first.
I want to say Bruno. He's playing fantastic this year. Like everybody knows, he does take penalties, takes free kicks, a lot of set pieces. He's gonna be scoring goals for the rest of the year. Um, but I'm gonna go with Salah. As much as I don't think Salah is like everybody thinks Salah is not having a great year, which I don't think he's having a fantastic year. Because if you look at their team, obviously you're not gonna say Salah's having a great year when they're sitting in sixth place, seventh place right now. Um, I want to say Salah because he's the only one actually scoring on that team, and he still continues to score goals even though they are losing and tying games and dropping points right now. So I'm gonna go with Salah. He's gonna be for me the person to win the Golden Boot this year.
Yeah, Salah's currently sitting in first place in the goal tally with 17, which is pretty impressive at this stage of the season. And then
Mhm.
just trailing behind him is the Portuguese international Manchester United star Bruno Fernandes with 16, and then tied with them is Harry Kane. And then you got Dominic Calvert-Lewin 14 and Patrick Bamford with 13. Those guys have
Mhm.
had a tremendous start to the season in terms of getting goals in good succession, but they kind of tapered off, both of those players. But I think it's between Harry Kane, Bruno Fernandes, and Salah. That's the it's a toss up. You don't know who's gonna have a brace here or a hat trick there. It's very tough to say. But if I'm gonna place my money on anyone, it's probably gonna be Mo Salah. Um, he just he's been the hungriest player on that Liverpool team. Um, Mane Mane's been good, but he didn't. He's been like a different player in terms of what he
Mhm.
produced last year. Um, and then you got guys like Jota sliding in and Firmino, but by far the hungriest and most the best player on Liverpool going forward has been Salah. So I think I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one. I think Salah's gonna secure the Golden Boot tally this year.
Mhm. We got our second question here from one of our guests that we had on the show, Thomas Pockernick. Um, he's asking, which I think we sort of answered this. Who does Arsenal need to sign to get back into Champions League? Andrew, why don't you start us off?
Um, I think the problem with Arsenal, there's several key areas, and we've talked about it before, but it starts at the back, and David Luiz is only going to be there for so much longer, and
Hmm.
even then, he's reckless at times, really, and he's vulnerable at times. I love Tierney. I think he's a great player, and
Hmm.
I think Tierney needs to really establish himself as the guy at left back because he's been, sliding as a center back too, which he's all right there, but I think he needs to play as a left back.
Hmm.
But they need a class center back, and they tried bringing Saliba, and I don't even think that's going to work out anymore. There's been several problems with Saliba, um, but they need a talented center back, someone that could bring you consistent play at the back, and maybe it's a guy like Ibrahim Konate from Leipzig. I think that would
I
be
was gonna say
an
Konate or
amazing
Upamecano.
signing.
Hmm.
Upamecano is another one that would be solid. He's been linked to Arsenal before, so guys like
Well,
this,
he's
they
on
have
Bayern now though,
or
so.
Bayern now. Sorry, yes, he just got signed a couple weeks
Hmm.
back. But guys like that have that they're still young, but they already bring so much to the table because they bring like an
Hmm.
experience. But even though they haven't been playing for long, and that just shows you the type of levels they're at. And guys like that
Hmm.
would really help. I think Arsenal needs help at the back. That's their biggest weakness.
Hmm. I'm gonna go a different route here. I'm not gonna say Arsenal needs to sign somebody to get into the Champions League because I think that they need to sign, like you said, there's so many problems with this team. Although they're good enough to make Europa League and most likely go far in Europa League, I think their only chance of actually making Champions League, I'm gonna say within the next 2 to 3 years, is if they go into Europa League and potentially win it. Um, because Europa League, obviously it's good competition. It's obviously not as good as Champions League, but the only way for them to get back into Champions League without having to finish top four in England would be winning Europa League, because winning Europa League gets you an automatic spot into Champions League. I think that's the only way they get back in the Champions League within the next couple of years, because I think this team has too many problems for them to just go to get top four in England.
Yeah, that's a great point you make. That would be the most realistic route to the UCL, and it is possible this year. And I think they are one of the bigger contenders.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely a possible route for them, and that's the most realistic route.
Anthony Filicetti, another friend of the podcast, another Arsenal fan. He's asking, this one I think is directed right at you. I'm not even going to answer this one. Can Porto win the Champions League?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No chance. If Porto was to win the UCL, I'd like bleach my hair blonde. Like I would like shave my head or something. I don't know.
We're
But
writing that down because he's going to bleach his hair.
no, it's not gonna happen. It's not possible just because of the fact that they're not a good, like, I'm not even saying this because they're a rival, but they're not good enough to win the UCL. They're just not. And if you look at teams like Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, they would thrash them. Like
Mhm.
imagine, I don't know, they did like give
Bayern Munich against Porto. It's
like
going to be like
Porto
12
did
nothing.
really Porto did really well in the group stage this year, and they deserve credit for that, right?
Hmm.
They give Manchester City a hard time in the two times that they played them. I think they drew the first time. Um, yeah, but they're not good enough. No, just flat out no, they're not good enough. They had a good group stage.
Hmm.
They got past Juventus, but Juventus, in my opinion, sorry, Mateus, I'm going to say this, but it's a joke. My friend Mateus is a big Juve fan. They're a joke, and they wasted 2 really good years of Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. Yep. I
So
completely agree.
it's pretty pathetic the way they've built that team around him. They just have too many of the same type of style or players, whatever you want to call it, in the midfield. They got Bentancur, Rabiot, Aaron Ramsey, he's been terrible,
Hmm.
um, very inconsistent, and yeah, so they beat a team like that. So good on them to beat Juventus, but Juventus kind of said, "Hey, here's the goals." Bentancur
Hmm.
literally gave Porto a goal in the very first leg and in the very first like five minutes of the game, and he just passed the ball in his own 6 yard box, just like what's going through his head, Bentancur.
Hmm.
So they beat a team that was discombobulated, in my opinion, and yeah, good on them to get to the next round, the final eight. That's pretty impressive. So good for them, but no chance winning the UCL.
Hmm. Our next question comes from Lucas. He says, "What do you think about the rumors of Stevie G being linked to Liverpool?" I'm gonna say this quickly because I know I quickly discussed about this. He says he would love it eventually, but he's not ready for it because he still thinks Klopp is the greatest thing that's ever happened to Liverpool. So I don't think he wants to come right now, but I would love to see him there, and I think he wants to be there eventually. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Lucas Brass. I appreciate it, bro. What do I think? I don't think it's gonna come into fruition. I don't think that Stevie G come next year or the year after is gonna be Liverpool manager, because Jurgen Klopp, what he's done for this team it's been amazing, right?
Hmm.
Like he revolutionized the team a couple years back, and he brought in players. We mentioned this before, but he's brought in players like Salah and Mane.
Hmm.
Obviously, Firmino, that was a big risk. No one knew what he was going to bring from Hoffenheim, but he brought him in, and they really performed at the party. He's really gelled together a team that has worked this year. Obviously, injuries have played a key role in why they've been, a tier down from last year, but Jurgen is the man there in Liverpool, and I don't see Stevie G this year or next year coming in. I say maybe it is possible down the road, but
Hmm.
because he's been doing a phenomenal job with Rangers, he already won the league, which is pretty impressive, and he's also doing quite well in the Europa League. So there's potential for it, but I don't think Klopp's time is done. I think he still has something to prove here with this Liverpool team.
Hmm. Well, that's the next question from Mateus. He says, "Which current young talents will be footballing greats in the future?" I think we can go. Do we want to go two greats who you think is actually going to be amazing?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think right now. Like obviously, like Saka, I think is going to be one, right?
That was my
Like
first one as
that's an
well.
obvious and clear,
Hmm.
clear and obvious one.
I
Um,
think he needs. I think Arsenal's his play right now is going to get lots of playing time, but I think once he gets established, he needs to move on from that team.
yeah,
That's my take on that one.
yeah, he could stay there and really be one of those guys like a Totti that's played his entire career at a club. I see that happening at an Arsenal for Saka, especially if he's come from the academy. But my
Hmm.
other player would probably have to be, and it's not just because I'm Portuguese and I have a little bit of bias, but I really do think he is a great talent. He's so technical on the ball.
Hmm.
He's dangerous in front of goal. He's crafty. He leads that team at such a young age. He leads their young the front line, and it's no one other than Pedro Neto. I think he's going to be a top talent. He's already showing that he's a young up and coming talent, and yeah, I love him, and I really do believe he's going to have the potential to be like a Bernard Silva in this league, like a Sterling in this league, like a top winger that will be dangerous day in and day out, and you fear him as a center back, as an opposing center back.
I think Saka. I agree with you for Pedro Neto. I'm gonna go with. I wanted to go between one of the English lads, Greenwood or Foden.
Yeah, Foden, like that's another obvious one too. Like I would
Hmm
mention Foden too. I just want to say
hmm
Neto because it's like
hmm
one that I think that people are sleeping on. But yeah, Foden obviously.
I think Foden. I think Greenwood's good. I think he's gonna
Greenwood's,
be
yeah.
really good. I don't think he's gonna be Foden level because Foden's ridiculous right now. I think he's like Saka. I think right now Foden is slightly above Saka right now,
What
but I
about
think
What
Saka.
about Diallo? Do you think he's going to be something big for Manchester United?
I think he's gonna be great too. I don't think he's gonna be Foden or Saka level though. But I think he's a great talent, great young talent coming from Atalanta. Big transfer fee was like 25 million. People are like, what are you doing bringing in a 19-year-old for 25 million?
Scored a
But
nice header the other day in the
it was
Europa
it
League.
was
Very
nice. It
nice
was
header.
nice.
He was going backwards too. Like it was a good flick on header.
Yeah,
Takes
but
a
I'm
lot
gonna
of
go.
skill.
I'm gonna go with Phil Foden.
Yeah, Phil Foden's a great talent for sure. 100%. I agree with
This
that.
next question again, I think is directed right at you. But it's a positive one this time, not like the Porto one. Top three Portuguese prospects from the Premier League. Go.
Obviously number one, Pedro Neto. He's been firing on all cylinders. He has to be a top prospect. Number two, Ruben Diaz. She's still fairly young. You could even give Jota a good nod there too, but I'm gonna go with Ruben Diaz. And my third prospect, people are sleeping on him because he doesn't get minutes right now, but he's gonna be getting minutes in the near future. You better believe it. It's none other than João Virginia, plays for Everton. He
Mhm.
signed from Reading. He's playing for the U23s right now for Everton, and he's a young goalkeeper that has great potential, and I think he's one of the best Portuguese young prospects in the PL.
Mhm. So for those of you wondering who are listening on Apple Podcasts or
I
Spotify
brought out
or
the flag. I brought out the flag.
he was waving the Portuguese flag the entire time. Just for any of you guys wondering who don't watch on YouTube. We're gonna go on to the next question. Speed this up a little bit here. What players get you interested? Sorry, this is from Matthew. What players got you interested in the Premier League in the first place? I'm gonna go with two players, and this is Manchester United bias, big time, which is again another reason why I became a United fan. Rooney, for everything that he's done for that club, he was absolutely fantastic in his prime. He was great.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to say Ronaldo, Portuguese, a little bit of Portuguese bias there. He was also fantastic. But my second one, which is a little bit weird because I'm an attacker, I'm a big attacking player, Vidic. I think he was phenomenal. He was a phenomenal player for the Manchester United side. Although I didn't watch him for very long because then he shortly after retired. Um, he's again another reason, and I'm gonna do honorable mention because why not? Again, another defender, which is also weird. Rio Ferdinand.
What a
Again,
pairing, eh? What a pair!
that too as a
What a
pairing
pairing! Oh
was
my,
one of is considered
filthy,
probably one of
filthy
the
pairing.
best defensive pairings ever. And yeah, that's my answer.
Daniel, I'm gonna go with like what really attracted me to the league. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo was a big
Mhm,
one, Portuguese talent coming into that Manchester United team. But I remember it so vividly, and his jersey's up here today. It's Oscar. And
mhm,
I don't know why I just loved him so much watching him play for that Chelsea team. I was so sad to see him go to China. I thought it was a big waste of his career. Obviously, money is a big factor for some of these
mhm,
players, and a lot of them come from nothing. And when they get an opportunity and they see a big check, ready to be paid, they take it. And
mhm.
he went to a league that's heavily inferior to the PL, as everyone knows. But money talks, right? So I really remember watching Oscar play, and I remember it so vividly, and that's what really drew me, as well as the other guy that's up here. It's Didier Drogba. I really liked him too. And some other sleepers I'd say is like Ramirez on Chelsea. I like a lot of these guys used to play for Benfica, and I was
Mhm,
always a Benfica fan, and that sort of piqued my interest in the Premier League, and that's why I like Chelsea so much because all these guys came over, like the likes of
mhm.
Matic, Ramirez, David Luiz was a huge one that I really was drawn to. That really drew me to the Premier League. So guys like that were brought over from Portugal, or guys that played in the Benfica system, really drew me to the Premier League, and there's been so many since them that have come through that have really grown the game and helped grow the game in England, and peak interest in other countries. So that's what makes the Premier League so great, and the amount of diversity that's in this league is unreal. So
Well, with the last question here from Philip Silva, we got what does Tottenham need to accomplish this season for the fans to gain faith in Mourinho's system? I'm gonna have to say in this one is gonna be a little bit weird, I think, but I don't think Tottenham is going to accomplish very much under Mourinho. I know I've said in previous podcasts that I think that Mourinho, if they continue up this form, is going to get sacked sooner than later. If he was coach of Chelsea, he would already have been sacked. Um, but I think that he needs to be sacked for Tottenham to accomplish anything, because they can't play this defensive style. They can. They've showed that they can play it, but I don't think that they enjoy playing it and like playing it, and it's obviously not getting them anywhere anymore. Um, so I think that's what Tottenham needs to sack Mourinho before they. I know the question is gain faith in Mourinho's system, but I don't think they have any more faith. Therefore, he needs to go.
This is a great question. I just want to highlight. So you say what do they need to accomplish? And
Mm-hmm.
accomplish is not necessarily winning something. It may be like finishing in like a certain place. If they manage somehow to get back in the top five, I think they can. That would be faith. But that's not enough at the end of the day, and they really need to win some silverware, and that's going to come in the Europa League, obviously. They have to win the Europa League, and that'd be a huge boost to get them into the UCL. So that I think would be the ultimate like reason for them to gain faith back in Mourinho. But another one I think that would suffice would be winning the EFL Cup, because they're in the EFL final. And the
Mm-hmm.
final is going to be played at Wembley on the 25th of April next month. That's what I was mentioning earlier in the episode when I said they have a huge month ahead of them, and that
Mm-hmm.
is a final. And that final is going to be they're heavy underdogs against this Man City team, but it's one game. So if they were able to pull off a miracle and really break down the City team, it's one game, right? So at the end of the day, they can really do it. And I think winning the EFL would be that factor that would really show the fans that there's something here with Mourinho, and it would definitely boost the morale for the club and for the fans and for the players. So, and the last time they did was in 2008, so it's been a little while, and they
Mm-hmm.
did it against Chelsea, they're winning 2-1, so
Mm-hmm.
it would be massive for them.
For those of you guys wondering, you want to ask us any questions, be featured in the next fan Q&A, you have to follow us on Instagram at Premier Talk Podcast. We love doing this. I know we've already stated this. We love doing this. We love hearing what you guys want us to talk about. So that's great. And go over there and follow.
Yeah, Daniel, next week we got a good episode in store. There's one burning question that we're going to answer, and it has to do with the All-Star game that happens in the NBA and North American sports. And we just want to talk about, is there potential for that in England? Is there potential for an All-Star game in England? And then the other thing, we're going to introduce a new segment. We're just joking about it, but we're actually going to do it. So Daniel's going to get a bunch of like players, not the most obvious ones, but I'm going to have to guess their nationality. So it'll be a cool little segment, test my knowledge, and yeah, it'll be fun.
That's it. We hope you guys enjoyed another episode on the podcast. We enjoyed giving it to you guys, and like we said, go hit us up on Instagram. No matter you listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, even on our Buzzsprout page, wherever you guys listen, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate all the love. And until next time, see you guys. This is it for this episode of Premier Talk, episode 7. Take care, guys.
See you later.
Peace.